Greetings. I apologize that I'm not able to be with you tonight, but please know that I am excited about tonight's forum. First, let me begin by extending a heartfelt thank you and congratulations to our students, staff, faculty, and friends for your individual and collective contributions to coordinating what I know will be a first rate event. Campus safety and security is an important topic that we, as the administrative leadership, take very seriously. We understand our collective responsibility in working with you to maintain a safe and vibrant campus culture and community where all feel safe and valued. The Alcorn family stands against any and all forms of violence, sexual misconduct, sexual assault, harassment or intimidation, discrimination, and hate. In recent years, we have all witnessed the rise in social and civil unrest across the country and in our state. The prolonged effect of a global pandemic has further heightened and exposed our vulnerabilities in our healthcare systems, mental health, technology infrastructure, and education systems, to name a few. Alcorn is not immune, yet we are brave and accept our responsibility to be vigilant and work together as a community to ensure that our campus environment is a safe and secure place to live, learn, work, and visit. As individuals and as a university community, we are all accountable for helping to ensure the well-being of our students, fellow employees, and visitors. Tonight, you will hear a salient conversation on issues you, the participants and students, provided to the Office of University Compliance that will be addressed by our team of experts. We hear you and we value your voice. In conclusion, thank you to everyone for your willingness to be open and share your experiences, thoughts, and concerns. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And remember, always, all corn.
immediately out through every building being on campus. So wherever you go, you can sanitize your hand. Also, we continually to give out masks at campus police. So anybody want a mask, you're welcome to come by campus police and get one. We have also budgeted for 2 additional firefighters, EMTs. So we are doing everything in our power to mitigate this pandemic. And we can get through it together. Like the lady said, brave ones, brave all, that's who we are.
Thank you. So, Fire Chief, and I'll start with you. Do the campus utilize on-campus, online reporting for incidents and for fire emergencies, perhaps?
Absolutely. Anytime we encounter a medical, a structure fire, a grass fire, automobile fire, there's an incident report generated. Also, it's kept in our CAG system. That's a system that Chief Stewart worked on to implement, about 5 years ago? Mm-hmm. It's a very high-tech system where he can just go in and pull a report, the time, the date, who responded. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, we keep those reports.
Good. So specifically, are students or employees, if they notice or witness an incident of a fire, are they able to go online and make a report to you?
No, they can call campus police, okay. 3000.
Okay. And so, Chief Stewart, mm-hmm. In that same token, is that a discussion that the administration will be having to see if it's possible to do online reporting of incidents? Is that something to look for in the future?
That is something to look forward to in the future. Right now, if an individual wants to report an incident, they can go to Alcorn at police, and they can send an email to us that way. Of course, there's an email address out there, but they can report things. They can do it that way, or they can call 3000. Sometimes there may be an incident that you don't want to report to us. You may not feel comfortable. Then you could report it to one of our law enforcement partners. We're in Claiborne County. You report it to the sheriff's office, or if you're on the backside of the campus, you could put it into Jefferson County, and it would get it to the appropriate area on campus.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you. We don't want to leave the Master Sergeant over here from Mississippi Highway Patrol alone over here. We're just going to switch gears just 1 second, gentlemen. So we did get a lot of responses from a lot of the employees and the students and even family members of the students. There's a lot of incidents that occur on the stretch as far as accidents, and most of them are usually with collisions with deer. And one of the things, they wanted to know, was there anything that, we can do at the university or anything that law enforcement can do to help protect that property or any bodily injury while they're traveling on the 5-mile stretch or Walter Washington Parkway? Any advice?
Well, first of all, you just have to be vigilant. It's that time of year, deer are moving, hunting season, and they're going to be moving. First and foremost, wear your seatbelt. That's going to probably save you some extra injury if you happen to crash and leave the roadway. Also, if you see a deer in the roadway, do not swerve to avoid that deer. Really don't swerve for anything other than other vehicles.
Right.
But as far as animals, I wouldn't advise you to swerve, because that's all you're going to do is lose control and hurt yourself, and that deer or that squirrel is going to go on about its way. So your safety is first and foremost. As far as, the stretch itself, it's not limited to the stretch. It's pretty much everywhere. Even I think about hitting deer because I know they're out there. But you just have to be vigilant, watch your speed, try not to be distracted while you're driving. Everybody has a cell phone, and they're probably on it while they're driving. So put that phone down and drive, and be aware of what's going on around you. If you see one deer, look for two. Just start preparing for it.
Thank you.
And also, while we were talking about feedback from students, we also got a lot of feedback from students saying how there's a lack of police control around campus. So are there any efforts to hire more or look into hiring and training non-police responders to handle small incidents such as escorting at night, car trouble assistance, or other non-major crimes?
I'll answer the first one first about the lack of police presence. Well, we do patrol, and we are short-handed. Shortage of police officers is not unique to Alcorn. It's a nationally. some police departments that pay much more than us are having issues in recruiting police officers. I talked with the former colonel of the Highway Patrol, and I've talked with the existing colonel. They're having some really difficulties, and I'm sure that Master Sergeant Stewart could address it also in recruiting officers. Sheriff's office continue also, and all it boils down in pay. I noticed the other day, and I was glad to hear it, the governor in his budget proposals spoke to doing something through the legislature about additional funding for law enforcement. He talked about the Jackson area, but we're hopeful that when the legislature get there, that they will see some way to push that out to your local and other agencies. The question about there was some earlier conversation, and we still have that on the table. We talked with the SGA about possibly recruiting people to do the escorts, and that's still a possibility. You asked the question about non-police officers or non-law enforcement to handle some issues on the police department. That has not been a conversation, but I'm all open to conversations about that, anything that will help us in improving safety on the campus.
Hey, Chief, did the governor mention about firefighters?
It was public safety and specifically police officers.
I got you.
But there's issues in recruiting them too based on salary. And it goes back to we're all not living in a shell. We know what's been happening nationally. The actions of a few police officers have tarnished the reputations of so many. And, you know, I don't make excuses for what they did, but it is what it is. And that has kind of put a damper on people wanting to go into law enforcement at this particular time also.
I agree.
Yeah.
And just to add on to what Chief Stewart was saying, as far as security on campus, or I guess we could say a non-law enforcement thing, like I said earlier, everybody has a phone. If you don't feel comfortable, just call one of your friends. You know somebody. You don't want to be by yourself, you just call them and say, hey, I'm over in this building or whatever. You mind coming over here with me? Not that hard.
Right.
Because we can't be everything. We can try, but we can't be everything. There's only so few of us, but we will address anything that we have to address. But if you feel uncomfortable somewhere, it's like you've been told your whole life, just call somebody. Everybody has a phone.
Thank you, thank you. So the next question, and you guys do the university do welfare checks?
Yes. We get calls all the time from parents who maybe have not talked to a student for several days, and we will go to the residence hall and get one of the RAs and go up and do a wellness check. We have also done in the past wellness check for our faculty and staff back in departments. If someone's not talked to someone for a while and they're concerned, we will go back there as well and do a wellness check.
Right. That's correct.
And okay, and I also like to kind of stay on the topic dealing with students and their concerns. So how often should we do safety drills for fire and inclement weather? And in the case there is like a fire, the alarm goes off, about how long does it take for the people to come and turn the alarm off?
I answer that question for you. We do fire drills and inclement weather drills. They're all in one. We do them twice a year. And when we do fire drills, we educate, inform the students on what to do if there's a tornado or whatever emergency is happening at that time. As far as your alarm systems, when an alarm system goes off, it takes us on an average of 3 to 5 minutes to get to that building to determine whether it's a false alarm or is it an active fire. You can't determine whether or not it's a false alarm at the station. So you got to go to the building, you got to go to the panel. Once you get to the panel, it's going to read out, it's going to tell you what floor is going on, whether there's a pull handle being pulled or what's going on. So once the firefighter gets there and he determines that there's a pull handle that's been pulled on the 3rd floor, then he goes to investigate. Once he goes and investigates and he determines that there's not a fire, someone has actually pulled it, then he will reset that pull handle, go back down and reset the alarm system and call 700. So that's how we handle all fire alarms. Unless we have a firefighter who has taken a student off campus to a hospital or something, then that time to respond might be 5 to 10 minutes because we had to get someone from facilities to respond. Yes.
And I also heard you say the drills are like twice a year, so that includes one in the fall semester and one in the spring semester?
It all depends on the weather, but we try to do it right at the end of the semester and right at the beginning of the semester. That's correct.
Okay.
Now, and this is for all panelists here, we got quite a few comments about the recent storm that happened in February, the ice storm. Now, we all know that Mississippi is not known for ice, correct? We can agree to that.
Absolutely.
And those events they hadn't happened very often in the past. But with climate change being an issue and a topic of discussion for science, scientists are predicting that more of these type of weather events will happen more often in locations where they don't normally happen. Students felt that they were isolated on campus at the time. And so what has fire, rescue, and law enforcement done to protect and make sure that adequate shelter and resources are available in the event that another natural disaster occurs?
What we usually do, if we know that bad weather's coming in, we put out notifications. We ask Sedesco to take on additional supplies. We make sure that our generators in those buildings that have generators are fueled up as fuel is required, that they're operational. We also make sure that facilities, Mr. Watts will make sure that he has staff available to respond to certain emergencies that may arrive on campus. We also, and if you remember the past storm, we had officers on campus, additional officers, 24 hours a day.
Right.
We assisted in delivering meals to the residence halls, things like that. A lot of this is going to go back to some self-preservations or getting ahead of the game. If you know bad weather's coming in, and you know that you may need some extra stuff, go on and get it ahead of time. Don't sit around and hope it's going to pass, because it probably won't.
Absolutely.
We know that the lack of power going out is just certain things that we have to deal with that the university or the administration has no control over when a tree limb decides to fall. We had a power outage this past weekend.
That's right.
Of all things, a balloon caused that power outage. Someone released a balloon over the back of the IT building, and when it got up in those power lines and exploded, it that morning, early Sunday morning, it put out power for several hours.
Absolutely. I'm going to concur with what Chief Stewart said. We've spoken with Sedesco, and we making sure they have adequate amount of supplies and additional employees to come on campus if we know that bad weather is on the horizon. So they're in compliance as far as that concerned. We also have purchased some additional generators. So we got that, and my guys have agreed to come on campus and actually just stay until it's over with.
So are there any emergency shelters on campus?
I wouldn't say shelters. You have to shelter in place. So, but there are grants out there available to get a shelter in place. Beautiful building, about 100,000 square feet.
Okay. And Trooper Stewart, a lot of our students, they travel to Walmart and other places, and in the case, like with the winter storm, some did get caught up in the storm, the ice storm. What message would you give them, if they're traveling to get resources to prepare or stock up?
Well, if you're traveling to get resources before the storm, go ahead and get your resources, get what you need. But what we want you to do is really stay off the road, because if you get out on the road, it just adds to the problem. A lot of you probably don't have four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicles. So once you get out there, once you slide off the road, now I got to deal with you, and I got to make sure you're safe. There are still other people that are out on the road. So you just got to be like the Boy Scouts and be prepared, but plan ahead. You get ready to go out, you plan ahead. You do everything that you need to do. You know what you need. And I'm not saying count on somebody else, but you got to take some responsibility for your own safety and prepare yourself for what you may need. As far as the highway patrol during the ice storm, we were at 100%, because that's what we do. It's what we do. We get out here and try to take care of the public. I actually came down here, but I know people couldn't get out because ice is what ice is. You just can't move on it. So prepare yourself, keep an eye on the weather, and when we got the report, they said it was going to be 2 days. Well, those 2 days ended up being 5 days. I don't think anybody was prepared for that. We thought it was going to be 2 days. So it ended up being 5 days, but we did what we had to do. Like Chief Stewart was saying, and Fire Chief was saying, as far as nature itself, we have no control over that. So if a tree falls across the road, now we got to contact MDOT, or we got to hope there's a citizen out there with a chainsaw that can open up the road. And they're good to understand that also. We're going to do everything we can to keep you guys safe, but at the same time, when we say don't get out on the road, that's what we mean, because, you may make it to your destination and make it back, but what if you don't? Now we got to come find you and try and help you out, which we're going to do.
Thank you for that. How do we stop drugs and weapons from being brought on campus? And in the case that someone is, allowed to bring their weapon on campus, is there any way that they can register their weapon on campus, or?
Well, first thing we talk about bringing drugs on campus. Students know those students that are bringing drugs on campus, a good number of them. If you tell us, we can find a way to address those. We know drugs are there. We're not naive, but we need your help in addressing those things. We talk about weapons on campus. It is a violation of state law and IHL policy for a staff member or a student to possess a gun on IHL property. There's no provisions to bring a gun on campus. I go back light years ago when I was a student here. You were permitted to bring your shotgun and take it to the police department and register it. Leave it there if you want to go hunting. But state law does not permit that at this time. State law and IHL policy.
And with that being said, I'm sure some of you probably don't understand the DUI law, which is basically driving under the influence. Well, driving under the influence doesn't only include alcohol.
Drugs.
Drugs, prescription drugs, and non-prescription drugs. Anything that you have in your system that you shouldn't have in your system. Whether it be alcohol, drugs, narcotics. DUI is the same. It doesn't matter what it is. And you guys are just starting out in life. I guarantee you don't want no DUI. It's going to follow you your entire life. If you get out here and have a wreck and hurt somebody, you're probably going to prison. Mississippi maybe number 50 had a whole lot of things, but when it comes to sending people to prison or DUI, maiming, or manslaughter,
Top of the list.
Wow.
Top of the list.
And also, thank you for that. Also, it's about to get, it's cold outside, so a lot of students will be using heaters, and if some students probably don't necessarily want to eat in the caf, or maybe not want to eat in the food that's provided in the union, they may have their own cooking appliances. So what advice would you share with students regarding using heaters or cooking appliances in the dorms?
Well, they have to check your handbook. It has a list of items that is prohibited, and I think space heaters are one of them. Hot plates, things of that nature, you can't have them. Matter of fact, we did an inspection today with the fire marshals. We only found one hot plate, and we confiscated that. So make sure you check your handbook and see what items are allowed and what items are not allowed. When I went to school here, we had hot plates, and we cooked in the dorm. So if you gotta do it, and if you think you can get away with it, if you're cooking, don't leave it unattended. That's the only advice I can give you. But what I'm saying is, if we inspect your room and we find it, we're going to confiscate it. That's just it.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Now, to all the panelists. Now, it is the holiday season, and, we have one of the largest games of the season coming up. What advice can you give our viewers and our participants, well, students and employees here, what advice can you give them to try to stay vigilant and safe?
Okay, well, the first piece of advice I would give them, if you're going to the game and you're leaving property here on campus, make sure that you're secured. If you're going to go up to the game, and I know what I did when I was a young person going to a game, if you're going to hang out, there's safety in numbers. Hang out in numbers. If you're at a location and you wonder where you should be there or not, you probably should not be there. Wherever you're going, if you're going to take a chance and go by yourself, make sure that you tell somebody where you're going. If you're going to go out and most of you you're too young to drink, but you're going to do it anyway, don't let people fix your drinks. And please don't do any drugs at all. why I have the, well, I'll let you go and address me. I got one more comment I'll make when you do that.
Oh, just like Keith was saying, for those of you who plan on going to the game, when you park your vehicles, don't leave anything valuable inside. Put it in your trunk, put it out the way, because, I mean, all Keith needs is an opportunity. You're going to be enjoying the game. Nobody's going to, unless you're in some kind of secure parking area, the vehicle's going to be out on the street unattended, and there are people in here that can attest to the fact you leave your vehicle somewhere, someone will bust the window out, and that's what they need out of there, and they don't care about it. Then you got to get your window fixed, you got to get a police report, and hope they didn't steal anything really valuable out of your vehicle. So make sure your vehicle's secure, and put all your valuables out of sight.
All right, thank you to Chief Stewart, Chief White, and Master Sergeant Stewart. Can we give them all?
One more comment before we go. You probably noticed last week and again this week we sent out a notice about parking, asking cooperation from our students and staff about parking in the fire zones. We told you in that correspondence that eventually the fire marshal would show up or could show up inside us. Just what happened this morning. The fire marshal showed up. Now, we sent out another reminder. Issuing citations are just not working. So our last option that we don't want to use that we're finna start using, and it's going to be a lot sooner than later, we're going to start towing your vehicle. The going rate if your vehicle is towed is about $175. And when we come over and we put that ticket on it and we block it in, that vehicle is going to remain there until a record driver gets there. When that record driver gets here, the options you have, you can pay that record driver there, or go down to that business, or you go down the next day and get it out of the impound. Okay. Thank you.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. It's imperative that we don't block our fire exits. When we went over there today, there's no way in the world I could have got that fire truck down through there. We were double parked. I almost couldn't get my Dodge through there. So he's absolutely correct. We gotta stop it. Good.
All right, thank you to Chief Stewart, Chief White, and Master Sergeant Stewart. Can we give a round of applause for our first panelist?
Thank you.
Turn it off.
Yeah, Amy.
And tonight we have two groups coming out to entertain us. For our first breakout session, I introduce to you the Delta Kappa chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
I wonder who's gonna need this.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Delta Kappa. They will be having a probate tomorrow night, actually, at 7:06 p.m., so make sure you come out to support them. Give us just a few minutes and we'll transfer into our next panel.
Yeah, how is that? Man.
Our second panel will be discussing safety and student voices. The speakers on this topic will be Senior Vice President for Finance and Administrative Services, Dr. Cornelius Wooten, Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, Dr. Tracy Cook, and Assistant Vice President of Student Development and Dean of Students, Dr. Natasha Hudson. Can we give them a round of applause, please?
Oh, have a seat. Oh, okay.
Okay, before we get started here in this next session, you all heard it here live. Make sure that your vehicles are in good spots, legal spots, because they will be towed.
That is absolutely right. Employees too. I hope you guys are listening. That means you too. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and transition into our second session. And one of the things I wanted to say before we began is that, for the last few weeks, we've been assessing questions and gathering questions for our panelists tonight. And some of them were repetitive, so if you don't hear your question, I'm sure you probably received an answer from some of the responses through our discussion. But we really do thank you guys for being involved and actually chiming in and giving us your opinion. But for the most part, we did gather, you guys, that most people who visit Alcorn feel very safe. They feel quite safe down here in the Corn on the reservation. So we apparently been doing something right over the years, okay? So, these are just things that we're sitting, talking to you guys, trying to help prevent anything from happening. And this is going to mitigate any type of wrongdoings or hopefully wrongdoings in the future. So we're going to dive right into our questions for our next group, and this is a very interesting group of people here too, and they have some tough questions to answer. So, I'm sure they're up to the challenge and charge, and let's see what we can get from them tonight. Okay, so we're just gonna dive right into it. The viewers want to know, what has the administration done the past year to improve campus safety?
Well, I will start that question. First of all, good evening, good afternoon to everyone, and let me say, to reemphasize what Dr. Nave has in her message, we commend you for being here and for your presence. In terms of what we have done in the past year, this, as you know, has been a very difficult year, very unusual year, but we have, in every measure possible, put safety and security front and center. And by the mere fact that you are here tonight is certainly an example of our commitment to safety and security. A number of things that we have done, formally and informally, but on the formally front, we have begun to take a formalized assessment of the campus in terms of trying to formally assess where we are, what are the weaknesses, what are the gaps related to our campus. We have been looking at the front entrance of the campus in terms of how we can improve the safety there, the back entrance, the entrance, the gates, the various gates on campus, particularly the Harris side of the campus where we have residents A, B, C, and D. So we do know that there are some, if you will, low-hanging fruit opportunity that we need to be given some attention to, and we're committed to do that. We're making the necessary assessment to do that. We're looking at, in the past 12 months, various technology that will assist the police department and the various other staff to make our campus as safe as possible. You will be seeing the results of that. We have undergone a formalized campus safety program in terms of looking at state agency helping us to make a full bona fide assessment of the campus. That will be forthcoming. You will be part of that effort. We have commenced a RFP to look at where we need to add additional cameras or new cameras. We'll have a new camera system on campus in the future that will assist us and give us greater sense of awareness in what we need to do pretty much. So safety and security, once again, in our mind, is front and center. We are seeking your input because you are, in fact, our eyes and ears. And as part of this forum, we want to get from you what you feel are some of the weaknesses and concerns so that as we look at our safety and security effort, we can incorporate those things into our total program.
Thank you, Dr. Wooden. Dr. Cook?
Dr. Wood, good evening. Just want to take this opportunity to thank you, bring you words of greetings on behalf of the Division of Student Affairs, and thank you for joining us as a Purple and Gold Table Talk. Some of the things echo what Dr. Wooden has mentioned as it relates to residents' life. It's a part of our safety plan. Matter of fact, we just voted upon our safety plan just this past Monday in the cabinet meeting. And within the safety plans, it's a building type plan. So once we receive all these various feedback, we're going to go in and look at the various areas in the safety plan, and we're going to improve and increase our safety awareness here on the campus.
Dr. Hudson?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Natasha Hudson, the Dean of Students and Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs. I will defer to Dr. Cook on this question as it relates to student affairs, and just echo that we are considering several measures to ensure that students feel safe on campus, especially in housing, and also developing and incorporating some trainings that help to educate our students on how to protect themselves.
So in those trainings, which leads me to another question. I'm sorry, Ms. Alcorn, I have to steal your light for a second. But there was a question regarding trainings, and I think this would be an opportune time to ask that question. You know, are there any trainings on campus to ensure that, you know, we are ready if there, in the event that there are any type of school shootings, terrorist attacks, or maybe nuclear explosions? Will those type of trainings be included into those trainings you were referring to earlier, Dr. Hudson?
We are looking into a number of different trainings to work directly with public safety to provide some of those opportunities for active shooter, for you know, all kinds of different emergencies that happen on campus. I know that the Student Government Association has also been very diligent about working with the administration to create plans for inclement weather circumstances or other types of natural disasters. So we are very diligent in ensuring that we have appropriate protocols in place to ensure campus safety.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. From a student perspective, students want to know, why are there a lack of activities provided for students which forces them to gather late at night in the parking area or wherever there's limited patrol. So these gatherings are not always peaceful and can sometimes be loud and violent. So why they want to know kind of why there isn't activities.
You go ahead, I'll jump in after you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I would say that COVID presented a number of challenges, first of all, to student engagement. The obvious one is social distancing and our inability to gather in groups for some time. As we started the fall semester, we were very careful and cautious about how much to open up to ensure that our campus was not a super spreader organization, and that our students, again, would continue to be healthy and safe. As we are continuing through the semester, our student organizations have been very active on campus in providing a number of opportunities for student engagement. With that being said, I do think that one of our areas of improvement can be that we need to market and promote those opportunities for engagement more broadly. Currently, you can find the majority of those experiences through social media, and not all of us are social media savvy or even on social media. So part of our strategy moving forward into spring semester is to make sure that we have streamlined opportunities for students to know what's happening, to use a variety of mediums so that you know, including posting flyers, going back to the old way of doing things and posting flyers right here on campus so that students know. By fall semester of next year, we would have acquired a student organization platform that will live and breathe all things student related here at Alcorn. So there are some things in place right now. For the time being, I would just encourage students to find your place through student organizations, to check your emails. There are involvement emails that go out from student affairs on a regular basis. All of the student groups, for the most part, have social media accounts. So if you're not wanting to have a social media profile, I would still encourage you to create one for the purpose of being involved on campus. And then you always have the opportunity to create your own experience. So if you don't see a student organization that interests you on our website, then create your own and go to our student engagement office to find out how to do that.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, and I'd like to add a couple of things. Currently, we have 87 students, organization clubs and organizations. Out of the 87, maybe about 72 may be sanctioned. We're active right now. We have 87 sanctions, but right now, as far as being active, we have about 72. The month of October, we had 50 so activities that took place. In the month of November, 38. But to be honest and have an honest conversation, a lot of times students go to the parking lot, they like to go to things that's non-sanctioned, where they can be able to do some things they want to do and bring things they shouldn't be bringing to those type of parties. So, you know, it's going to take a team effort. You know, we have no problem with those parking lot events, but a lot of times if you do it in a structured manner where we let us know what campus policing know, so we can be able to put people in place to safeguard, to make sure the people that's supposed to be there are there.
Thank you, thank you. Now, knowing that there's limited lighting on campus, all right, and this is from both faculty, staff, and also students, what steps are being taken to address this? And especially since, you know, the university is pushing that we do more outside activities.
I'm glad you asked that question. This gives me an opportunity to make an announcement in terms of what we're actually doing. The university had launched what we call an RFP, request for proposal. That proposal has concluded. We have received up to 10 vendors that are interested in being a vendor camera provider for our campus. Within the last 2 weeks, I think we've had maybe 4 or 5 vendors that are assisting our staff going around the campus, assessing where those cameras need to be. I anticipate that by the end of the month, that survey effort would be completed so that we can award a contract to the appropriate vendor, and be assured that by summer, we anticipate summer going to the fall, to the extent possible, we will have sufficient cameras on campus, and they would be certainly good for the campus in general. So, I mean, we'll be camera full. You'd probably be complaining about the number of cameras That we have. But,
It's coming.
Yes, it's coming.
All right, thank you for that. And this is from more of a residential standpoint, or maybe like teaching in the classrooms, but Alcorn may not be experiencing as many problems with mold or mildew as other universities, but there are some problems. So being that that could be a danger to both students and faculty, what measures are being taken to prevent that or mitigate?
Before the start of each year, we actually do an air quality test in the various dormitories. And as we leave for the breaks, as we see need, we'll bring the individual out to do an air quality test. But a lot of times when it relates to mold and mildew, as it relates to residents' life, my RAs got to do a better job when they go in and check those rooms. A lot of times they just open the doors, looking at the living room area. When they're definitely in the village, you have to go into the bathroom, look under the cabinet sink, look in the hot water room. And a lot of air and moistness, it takes place in the village is because sometimes that air vent in the bathroom, the fan may not be working. It's important that you as students report that information as it relates to the return air, because air has to circulate in a room. And a lot of times I know some of those rooms, students sometimes put items that block their circulation, and by blocking their circulation, or when you're in your AC unit, you're dropping it below 72, you end up freezing the lines, and then when the lines get frozen and start conversation and start dripping moistness, and that's what called the mildew, and from mildew be mold. Some of the older dormitories we have, we did do a RFP as far as putting a roof on the building, because it's the water. We have plans to put a roof on Burroughs. We're doing the plans to put a roof on Robinson, and as well as Rebels. We know, due to the fact of COVID and the shortage of supplies, that roof on Burroughs, at one time we was printing out, it was $470-something thousand. Now I got word it's $800-something thousand. Right. So the price is double what we was probably going to do 2 roofs. In the upcoming year, now we might have just look in and just try to do that 1 roof. Everything is a plan. But it's important that the student population, when they see something, make sure you go ahead and report it. I know an incident that took place last year. A particular student left the room on Friday, saw the toilet was overflowing, and say they was in a hurry to get there. And by the time that Monday, it was on the 3rd floor. So what effect? It was the 2nd floor, the 1st floor. And all because that particular student say, I was in a hurry to go home, and look how much damages that caused. In the village, all the restrooms are stacked on top of each other. So if you got one drip leak on one floor, it's pretty much going to be a leak on the next floor, and so on. So if you see something, make sure you let us know. RAs, as it relates to the resident life director, been doing workshop professional development. Underneath your toilet, underneath your vanity, is a little turn-off knob. When you see something running, turn the knob off to stop the water until we get the right facility people to come there to fix the problem. So make sure you report it. If you report it, if you don't get feedback within a day or so, too, do a follow-up. Not send me an email. We're going to make sure we provide you the best living learning environment. But those are some of the preventions we can do to reduce the spread of mildew and mold on campus.
Thank you. And as far as reporting for the people, the students that are in the audience, and for anybody that may be watching that is unaware of exactly how to report it, what advice would you give them of exactly the proper protocol to report maintenance issues?
Maintenance issues in the resident's life, there's a little link you can go to fill out the form. The RA, go online, Google facilities, actually see the work orders from residents' life. They'll turn the work orders in. From the work orders, they'll actually come over to the particular area and fix the problem and solve the problem.
Thank you. Did you have anything to add, Dr.?
Well, one thing that we're doing is we're trying to improve our service maintenance effort as it relates to facility management. We are undergoing studies and engaging the services of vendors and contractors and looking at our overall HVAC system, and not only in the residence hall, but all buildings on campus, classroom as well as administrative buildings. So we have set a number of dollars set aside for that purpose to improve our corrective maintenance system. Much of it has to do with relieving ourselves of the many years of deferred maintenance and putting dollars where they need to be, and our service efforts to improve our HVAC system. Corrective maintenance certainly is important. So we are engaging the services of external contractor to assist the university in looking at the total HVAC system infrastructure on campus to try to prevent the mold. But as has been stated, if you see something that needs to be done, please report it. There are several mechanisms for you to do so, and as soon as you report it, the better we can assess it and get on top of it.
Thank you, Dr. Wooten. Thank you. Now, this may sound, I'm just going to put the big purple elephant out. Now, we live in a very rural area. A lot of students and parents chimed in and said, you know, there's a lot of animals around Alcorn, especially feral hogs and other critters that may be out there. Some of our students may not be aware of the dangers that these animals pose and may sometimes go and tease or play with them, or maybe even try to tame them or domesticate them. What advice or what do you do for educational training to the students here at Alcorn on the wildlife?
Well, first, I would say don't do that. Don't try to tame the wildlife. But we are in the process, probably by fall semester, hopefully to have a recreation and intramural sports area that will have a role in outdoor education. And so through that outdoor education portfolio, we will be supporting students' awareness about different wildlife, the trails here on campus and how to stay safe, recognizing poisonous plants and shrubbery that are obviously in the area, and just generally how to protect yourself in a rural environment where nature and wildlife can pose a threat. So until we are able to actually provide that formal education, we will work with our housing staff to make sure that students are aware of the different types of animals that come out at different times of the year. And also, I would just encourage you guys to be, again, diligent about your own education, and that includes not trying to tame and domesticate wildlife. So, same rules apply for folks who are afraid of dogs and things like that. Don't panic, don't rush, just kind of try to stay calm and not intimidate or agitate, that wildlife if you happen to encounter it on campus.
And wildlife are just like us. They have to eat and drink. So it's important you as a student population, when you dispose of those food items, make sure you put them in a trash can away. A lot of times when you get out your car, you drop it. So you're attracting the wildlife to come closer in. So to prevent that and set up barriers, it's important that you actually dispose of the proper way your food waste.
I'm sure many people hadn't thought about that.
Thank you for that. I kind of want to switch gears and kind of talk about counseling and mental health. So a lot of factors play into mental health, especially COVID-19, that could have and have affected some students' mental health. So is the university looking to expand and invest more into the mental health and care, or even advertising it more so students know that counseling services are available?
Yes. Matter of fact, the university put funds in. The counseling service is going to have a new location in the spring. It's going to be the second floor of Rowan Hall over health services. That's one expansion, and we was fortunate enough to receive a grant where we're going to be able to bring some additional staff in as it relates to our students. And we already have telehealth. Telehealth going to be available. It's a lot of services there. Students just need to know where they need to go to receive those particular the help they need, and that's a counseling service. Currently is located on the 3rd floor. It's a team of 3, and that team eventually going to be 4 or 5 by the spring semester.
And the same question for employees. They were interested in knowing what are we doing at the university to ensure that the mental health and safety for the employees are pretty much taken into consideration. Are there going to be any activities that's provided to them in the future to help with stress relief, et cetera?
Well, in the area of human resources, of course, we have a program referred to as EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and that program is designed basically to assist our faculty and staff as well as family faculty and staff who may experience mental health issues, stress, pretty much. So if in fact there's a need determined, I would suggest to our faculty and staff to reach out to our human resources staff, and they would certainly put them into contact with our EAP provider in that vein. We also are looking at how we can provide greater stress management services and education to our faculty and staff pretty much. So those things are in the making. We are trying to be better, do better, and assess the need, and then put the resources where it need to be to make sure that happens.
Thank you, thank you.
I would like to add to that literally this week, the system office sent emails to random students here on campus to complete a mental health survey. It's about 1,800 students who should have received that survey as of yesterday. And those same students also received an email from me encouraging you to complete the survey when you receive it. So if you have not completed the survey and are someone who received the survey, I do encourage you to go ahead and complete that, because that will give us a comprehensive look at what the mental health needs are for all of our students here in Mississippi, and how each institution can work towards ensuring that our students have appropriate mental health strategies and resources on campus for your academic success. And then for your non-clinical mental health needs, we have already established some group exercise classes. There's an energy flow class that just happened next door this evening at 5:30. That allows you the opportunity to de-stress. And so those classes are very cardio exercise to yoga. And I would encourage both faculty and staff to get involved with those classes. We'll be introducing a bike riding program in the spring. We've required 25 bikes thanks to athletics to be able to provide that opportunity for students on campus. And a group of us in Student Affairs have been meeting to continue to visit the topic of mental health for our students and how we can support those needs on campus. So please do the survey so that we know what you need, and in the meantime, continue to just take advantage of some of those other opportunities that are already available.
Thank you, and thank you all for answering the questions that we had thus far. So we'll finish this segment out with just what advice would you give students and employees of how they can aid administration in just making sure that the campus stays a safe place, or make it an even safer place than it already is?
Well, I think the basic thing that we can do is to agree in principle that safety here on the campus of Alcorn State University is everyone's business. That's a basic principle. It's just not the work and effort of the police department. Whether you're a student, faculty, or staff, we all have a responsibility to make sure that we do our part in ensuring that this campus is as safe as possible. And the basic of that is, if you see something, say something. And I was surprised Chief Stewart did not go into this. We have situations and cases, bad things happening on campus. And when investigations are done, it appears that our students somewhat go hiding or go under the rock. We're afraid to answer questions, come forward, and we have several pending investigations as we speak, open, because of that. So if you see something, say something. Safety is everyone concerned. I will finish with that now. But I did want to add one other thing in terms of what we're doing relative to the administration making the campus safe. We have embarked upon several $1 million lighting project. And you will be seeing, thanks to the state, you will be seeing a comprehensive lighting project in concert to the camera project. And the project is going to really illuminate the campus. So that is both coming. And once again, we're serious about safety here on campus, but it's a total effort. We need all of us to be involved, to be engaged.
Totally agree. You see something, say something. When you look at nice communities, neighborhoods, and you wonder why they're nice, because if they see something, they're gonna say something. And if you look at other neighborhoods where everybody, I'm keeping my mouth quiet because what, snitches get stitches, they say, but it's about your environment. It's about keeping your environment safe. And I just encourage the student population to take advantage of all the resources that the campus do provide. You know, we pay dollars, thousands of dollars each year on different programming, but all the programming is only as good as the students. So those alert systems that we have, you need to make sure you update your cell phone, update yourself on alert systems. I know a lot of times students, y'all switch phones like clothes. You know, you need to go back into the system, log, and give us your new number so you can get those emergency updates. Take advantage of the services that we have. We have so many services here on campus that students fail to take advantage of the different services that can provide to make them better students for the real world. So let's do our part, work together. It's not us against you. It's all about we're working together as a team. A lot of times when we have those visitors off campus, on campus, it's because the student population invited them here. They are friends. Y'all put them in trunks, get them through the gates. You'll share your ID so they can get in on campus. And then when you have those unauthorized parties and stuff, and then when people get to the point, you know, when they taking stuff or drinking things they shouldn't be drinking, their minds start going a different way, and they don't really think the same way. And then a lot of things, as you say, pop off. And then say, oh, what the university doing about it? But we need your help. You know, this is not a prison. You know, most prisons design so many prisoners to every guard. You know, this free range here. It's free range, and we set up perimeters, and we monitor you. But we need your help. You know, at nighttime, you look at the numbers, we probably have 20 adults out here during the night after 5 o'clock. And it's still 1,700 students here on campus that live on campus. So we need your support. You know, you shouldn't be walking all over campus by yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning around the track and stuff. You know, if something were to happen to you, probably won't find out what happened to you till the next day. You know, it can be anything. You can walk off a trail, break a leg, lose your phone died out, and you just there until somebody the next day maybe come along. So be smart about things. As they mentioned earlier, have the buddy system. Safeguard yourself. I know there's a big game coming up this weekend. I know a lot of you are going to go out. Be mindful of your situation in those places that you're going to, and not just only in Jackson, but around here in these local areas. Never lose focus of why you're here, and that's to receive that degree from Alcorn State University. Don't lose focus. So don't let those little things, it's good to have the activities and the fun, but don't lose focus. And last thing I would say, you being interviewed every day by the way you carry yourself.
Well, I'll just combine what the two have said, and my advice would be, as you're dealing with students, to take personal responsibility. You know, this is your campus. Not only does the university pay a lot of money to have resources for you, but you pay a lot of money to be here. So keep it safe. You know, we don't let folks come into our residential homes and destroy our property and, you know, fight our children or fight our family members or, you know, cuss us out and do those kinds of things. So don't allow guests and others to treat your Alcorn home like that. Take personal responsibility of this place. Our motto is, I am Alcorn, you are Alcorn, we are Alcorn. So as Dr. Wooten said, we all have a responsibility for this place, As Dr. Cook said, we all should take advantage of our resources and be responsible. So in the end, it does come down to personal responsibility. If everybody does their part, then we have no problems.
Well said. Thank you, Dr. Hudson, Dr. Cook, and Dr. Wooten. Can we give a round of applause for our second finalist?
We need to help getting off there.
For our second breakout session, I introduce to you the Ada chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Echo. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you to the Ada chapter and happy Founders Day.
Okay, we're both here.
Our final panel will be on healthy relationships and student awareness. Our speakers on this topic will be Nurse Dorothy Davis, the Director of Health and Disability Services, and Ms. Tamika Samuels, the Associate Athletic Director and Senior Women Administrator.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Wow, thank you, men from Omega Psi Phi. You guys really gave us a nice introduction on your Founders Day. We really appreciate that. And before we begin, I would like to give a special thanks to all of my interns and volunteers who came out and helped to put this together today. You guys did an amazing job. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha and the men from Omega Psi Phi for coming out tonight and showcasing the many talents that Alcorn has to offer. Okay, so we're going to try to stick to time. We're going to go ahead and move into our last session. This is a smaller session, but it's a real nice conversation that we want to have to help our students here around campus. And these are just a few questions that other parents had regarding activities around campus. And I'll start with Nurse Davis. Okay. You know, we've ensured that the university remain low with COVID cases, especially at the height of the pandemic. With the mandate, the mask mandate being, I'm not going to say recalled, but dampened some. It's not as strong as it used to be. What are we doing here at the university to make sure that transmission numbers remain low?
Okay, hello everyone, how you doing? Although the mask mandate was, say, partially lifted, we are still encouraging our students and employees and visitors to campus to follow those COVID guidelines. We're asking you to continue to wear your mask, you know, when it's necessary. Also in health services, we are providing the COVID vaccines. We have the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. We also are offering the boosters. So if you have your dose 1 and 2, or with Johnson & Johnson, your dose 1, we will offer the booster to you if you qualify. Also, even though it's not COVID, but we do have the seasonal flu vaccine, so we're also encouraging that as well. We ask that you please call ahead so we can get you scheduled in, especially getting ready to travel for this holiday season. So we're asking each person, and it's open to students and employees. Let's see what else. We're continuing our health promotions. Our student organization, ASU Heroes, they're our health educators that promote campus awareness here on campus. They give our masks, hand sanitizer. We participate in programs. We collaborate with other organizations. We also have partnered with our community partners, the Mississippi State Department of Health, the Jefferson Comprehensive Health Center, built My Brother's Keepers, the local healthcare facilities to offer these same services to our campus community. During this time, we see a lot of students say, it's not going to happen to me. COVID, flu, any other type of illness does not discriminate. So we ask you all to please get vaccinated. It's not mandated, but strongly encouraged. And if you have any issue, health concerns, please give us a call and let us know. We also have the self-report portal. We're asking that you, if you're having symptoms, if you believe it's COVID, it may not be COVID, please self-report and give us the opportunity to contact you so that we can triage you to tell you if you require testing, isolation, quarantining, or it may not. We just maybe treat whatever acute illness that you may be having. So that's what we ask you all to do. Thank you. Those are my heroes.
Thank you for that. So some areas around campus does not have university accessibility. So what is being done to address this?
Okay. For disability accommodations, that is also done through my office. If any student have any concerns with accessibility on campus, if it's an employee, human resources, but we are here to help and assist in any way possible. If you have any concerns with door openers, curb cuts, it can be also, I'm going to say, accommodations in residence life or in the halls, or the classrooms, just simply coming in here into the union, please contact us. The university has received funding, and that there are several projects with the master plan that's forthcoming, and we're really excited about that to bring us up to par with accessibility. But if anyone have any concerns, please do not hesitate to call Disability Services. We also have a new disability coordinator. So she's available, as well as Human Resources, I said before, and myself. So please let us know.
Well, over the last course, I guess the last few months, the university and athletics has both received a lot of feedback from alumni, students regarding athletics, okay? And one of the things that they have to say is, well, one of the things they want to know is what have athletics done to make sure that students, while they're traveling, they remain safe and compliant?
Yes, one of the things, we have testing protocols that are set up through the Southwestern Athletic Conference, so we have encouraged all of our student athletes to become vaccinated. So those have guidelines for those as they're traveling, as they're vaccinated. Those who are not vaccinated will still have the standard testing policy, so they'll have to test and they'll remain, we'll have those same COVID policies that we had last year in place for those who are not vaccinated. Some of the things that we're doing, administrators will be traveling with our student athletes and coaches, so if we have someone on the road that gets ill or anything like that, our administrators will be on the road to assist in getting those student athletes safely back to campus.
And I'd also like to add, we partner and collaborate with our School of Nursing, and they have been wonderful with providing testing for our athletic department and here on campus with our pop-up sites. And so there has been a huge, I don't know, just great that they have been available to help us fill that gap with the testing and vaccinations for campus. And during the athletic programs, our football games, so they have been providing those pop-up sites for vaccines and COVID testing. Thank you.
Okay, we're finishing out. This is our last question. If you were here for our first segment, you heard Chief Stewart talk about the parking and stuff. So he was like he couldn't even get his fire truck down because of the parking. So when it relates to emergencies on game days, and there's big crowds on campus, and sometimes it's hard for emergency personnel to respond to emergency situations, have there been any push to look into using smaller emergency vehicles to assist on game day in the case that there is a problem?
Some of the things that we're doing currently is that we are assessing our game day operations, so we are working with the university compliance and internal audit to address all of our risk assessments on game day. So this is definitely something that as we are developing and enhancing our standard operating procedures, we will definitely take into account. We do have ambulance services on site, on field, and we will definitely, continue to do that. We have athletic trainers that are on staff to help our student athletes, and then emergency ambulance services if we have any issues in the crowd as well.
Would you like to chime in? I mean, so we know what's going on in the stadium, but what around the stadium when people take ill or students take ill during game day events?
Okay. Health services, we open during homecoming to be available if anyone have any emergencies during the parade time. And also they have the cart system. If someone is available, they can call and go to the nearest officer to let them know that they're having a type of emergency. And we are available as needed. The mobile clinic, the ASU mobile clinic is also available to assist during game day operations. Okay.
Very much. Ms. Alcorn, do you have anything that you want to say?
No, I have nothing else to add.
Looks like she stole my thunder tonight anyway, but it's okay. I love you still. I love you still. That concludes tonight's segment, everyone. We really do appreciate your questions, your concerns, your comments. Keep them coming in. We hope to have future Purple and Gold table talks so we can address more issues that the university may have and see if we can get a real resolve to them in a discussion so that we can come up with amicable solutions that works best for everyone. So again, we love you here at Alcorn State University. We love having Brave Talks, and we'd like to give a special thanks to Finance and Administration for sponsoring tonight's event. Without them, this would not have been possible. And to the students, of course, you guys are always helpful and a blessing, and to our special guest tonight. So kudos.
And that's all. Thank you all for coming.
Good night, everyone. Good night.